Monday mornings with Matt and Kevin. What's in the news? Topics that come up around the dinner table will be given the truth treatment with no punches held and no falsehood left standing. These two will debate real-life issues from a Catholic perspective every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern.
Here, hard topics are pinned down and examined without apology. Let's get down to business. Here are Matt and Kevin.
Welcome into Monday Mornings with Matt and Kevin here on the Catholic Family Podcast. I am Matt. He is Kevin. Kevin, what are we talking about today, sir?
For me today is going to be talking about Trump and the indictment he has been, what would you say, killed with? I don't know what the proper is there.
Slammed with.
Been defaced by it. I don't know. It's actually pretty insane. I mean, it's something that I think a lot of the people on the right or Trump fans are like, oh, no, guys, it's probably not in any circumstance see the new Padre Pio movie. Matt's going to talk a little bit about anti-Semitism from the book Pope's Spot and Errors. But we're going to of a light note because, well, Matt and I are both. I'm a huge Denver Nuggets fan. They're one game away from the basketball NBA. I'm going to get up at 2 a.m. on Tuesday to watch that game. They're going to win the championship, first one in their history. So, Matt,
Kev, we got some light humor here. I saw this morning on Yahoo, and I was like, all right, gotta open the show with this. Gotta, adjust the plans and put this out there. This is a must see. You can watch the clip. This happened, must have been game 3. It must have been on Friday. Yeah, okay. So they were doing a skit. I don't know if it was like halftime or what, but there's a skit. And the Miami Heat mascot, let me see what he is here. He's like a little, I don't know what he is, like an eagle. I don't know. Maybe somebody can correct me. I don't know what he is. It's like a white furry thing. He was doing a skit with Conor McGregor, that fighter. And what the advertisement was over a pain spray, Kev. Like when you get an injury in sports, it hurts. They come over to you, they spray that stuff on it, and it's really cold, like it freezes it, so you can't feel the pain. So the skit was supposed to be Conor McGregor, this worldwide fighter, goes up to the Miami Heat mascot. He punches him. The guy's supposed to fall over. This is all planned. He's supposed to fall over. They whip out the spray. They spray him on his chin or whatever he got hit. And off he goes. He's cured. You can watch this on video. It's a must-see. Conor McGregor goes up to the mascot. He punches it pretty hard. And so my eyes, went, ooh, that was quite a hit. The dude falls over, like passed out. They go to spray him. He was unconscious. He got rushed to the ER. They knocked him out. Hang on. Let me make sure that he was unconscious. I don't want to misspeak here. All right. I might have to.
But they had to him to the
I don't know if he got knocked out completely. He went to the ER. Yeah. It says here, it's unclear if McGregor would face any consequences. This is a pre-rehearsed. They practiced this skit gone wrong. So, add this to McGregor's knockout total, I guess, if you want to say. I don't know, but you've got to Google the clip. Go on YouTube. It's on Twitter as well. Conor McGregor knockout Heat mascot. And what's funny is, Kev, so the mascot's just laying there, right? His arms are spread out like he's unconscious on the middle of the floor. They run over and they drag him off. So maybe that was his way of, saying that he's a Denver Nuggets fan. Like, we're about to knock this team out of the playoffs. That's all I got. That's all I got for you.
It's true. They're going to get their mascot knocked out by a drunk Irish. Pretty. That's a rough night.
Very yeah. Sums up the end.
Crazy. Well, and I mean to add on to that craziness. But
I was going to say Yogi Berra, a famous Yankee catcher, used to always say, it ain't over till it's over. I've learned that the hard way, Kev, before in sports. Sure. I have relaxed, put my feet up, chilled, and been like, oh, snap. So
I'm not chilled,
that
but
fat lady hasn't sung. I don't care.
I know which team's the
but
I'm in the bag, but it's close. It's close in the bag. The fat lady's one.
It's got 1 foot in the bag. Yeah. She's doing her rehearsal. Yeah.
And so you know who might have 1 foot in the prison door?
Man,
that would be our good friend.
He might, dude.
Donald Trump. It's against no. I think we're both pretty realistic with Trump. I think the guy really.
Yeah.
I think it's for a boring show. It'd probably be better for the show. We both, he's done some things. He's kind of this crazy guy, as everyone knows he is. He is 37 counts of pretty much an espionage. I mean, of documents and taking it to his private home. Or am I wrong? You studied this more than me, Matt. What's up with
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. So it's funny how you mentioned that, because if you were to do this interview with me in 2015, 2016, I was all in Trump. Like I had the flag, I had the hat. My politics over the years have changed a lot, but they've also kind of like geared more towards Catholicism. And I used to hang around with people, Kev, who used to tell me that there's a lot of, I remember, because originally I was for Ted Cruz. I was Ted Cruz all the way. I didn't like what Trump kind of threw. I was Ted Cruz. And there were people who I would hang out with and chat with who are also pro Ted Cruz. And they would say to me stuff like, the two most important documents in history are the Constitution and the Bible, and that they mirror each other. They're very close. I had one guy, he used to be a very prominent Twitter account. I can't think of his name anymore, but he like a big name, like hundreds of thousands of followers. And I remember, his name is escaping, but he told me, he's like, if you put the Bible and you put the Constitution side by side, like they mirror each other. They're very, very close. And I used to kind of eat this up, like, wow, that's awesome. Like cool, and it's just funny. I kind of, not to go into an own personal story really quick, but I was always, I guess you could say, a Republican, and just I thought like conservative politics were the be all end all, like let's go, Sarah Palin, like Chris Christie, Marco Rubio, like let's take our country. That was me. I was one of those guys. And it peaked with Trump. I was like, this is a dream come true for me. So anyway, no one cares. Yes. Yeah.
There's a reason for it. It's really unfair of people now, later to say, oh, it was stupid. Maybe it was too far. Maybe it was wrong, but it wasn't stupid. There was a reason. It was because
that's true.
He had a message that was anti-establishment, that was the opposite of for 8 years, that we'd seen a lot of damage done to America. And now did Trump, pay off all the promises? No. But I don't like how what a stupid thing if you voted for Trump. I just don't. I voted for Trump too. I think it's
no, I agree. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. He, I think it started with Palin. Palin in 2008, she was kind of like that rogue pick from John McCain was establishment times 10. I remember thinking like, I don't want to support this guy. I had to, because I didn't, I was like, I can't vote for Obama, but I had to support McCain, and I bit my tongue. And Palin for me was a breath of fresh air, as off as that sounds. But she did. People, I don't know if people remember, or they want to forget about it, but she shook it up a bit. She was that start of Trump, like, we're gonna fight back against this DC cartel, right? Inside the what do they call it? The dome of like DC. She pushed a little bit. She was an outsider, and that kind of opened up, that paved way, I think, remember the Tea Party was a big thing, right? Where these far right Republicans who aren't mainstream rhinos, and so he definitely wrote a movement in. But I got to start, Kev. I did some research. I did some listening to some podcasts. One of the things that I found, this is pretty interesting. So I'm going to jump back to this is regarding Trump. It'll tie in. I have my notes here. The Defense Secrets Act of 1911. So that was a thing that kind of made way for the Espionage Act, which was a document that made it illegal to, reveal or release government secrets, right? So the Defense Secrets Act of 1911, it turned into an all-purpose mechanism for the Woodrow Wilson administration to jail people people think that this stuff is recent, but our government was wild to jail people who questioned the entrance into World War One. And what's wild about this, Kev, they didn't put people into jail who were out there lighting streets on fire. They put people in jail who were passing out anti-war protesters.
Wow.
They jailed people who were out there protesting very, very peacefully against this war. And it got to the point, you can look this up, where Woodrow Wilson ordered the postmaster to search people's mail to make sure that this stuff wasn't circulated. This was before social media, So, search people's mail to make sure that this anti-war propaganda wasn't being passed around. If they did that then, this is my first thought. If they did that then, you think they're not watching your Facebook? They are. Anyway, Eugene Debs was a presidential candidate at the time. He spoke out against the war. He was a socialist, but he spoke out against the war. They jailed him. Woodrow Wilson jailed him because he wrote an article protesting World War I, and it got printed in the newspaper. So, these things happened, right? This, you think it didn't happen back then, that we were such a great, the 1930s, the glory. There was a lot of big government overreach. So look that up first. The Defense Secrets Act of 1911. Okay. These people, now I'm going to fast forward to today. These people in the media today are trying to hit Trump, regardless of your political opinions. They're trying to hit Trump for something that should have jailed Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. And that is to share classified military information and the mishandling of it. The thing here is Mar-a-Lago, Trump's private resort in Florida, was secured by the Secret Service. He had full Secret Service protection, agents at every door. This was a secured location from what I have pulled up. This is completely unlike the Penn Biden Center, where that place is like Biden's headquarters. It was funded by the Chinese. They sponsored the whole thing. If the Chinese were paying for this building to be erected and to stand up, you can bet that they had access to whatever government information was inside, right? There were many, over the past few years, FBI investigations into multi-million-dollar bribes taken by Biden. You probably remember this. This was all in the news when he was VP. Right. From the Ukrainian oil company. It was called Burisma. I pulled it up here. Biden bragged. You can listen to the audio. He bragged about how he shut down an investigation of Burisma by threatening the Ukrainian government that if they didn't pull back a state prosecutor, that they would not receive foreign aid. He said, I can promise you that Obama will not give you foreign aid unless you do this personal favor for me. This is on tape, right? So regardless of where you want to go here, Biden, I can get to Hillary in a second. Biden did this many times. Classified information was scattered all about. He's on tape of mingling with Ukraine personally over personal investments, threatening government aid, right? This is all on record here. For some reason, there's nothing to prove. There's nothing to point to him on for whatever reason. And here we are, the media telling us that Donald Trump is going to go to jail over the Espionage Act. Now, remember, Bill Clinton, and this was 2013, Bill Clinton said that as a former president, he had the right to remove whatever documents he wanted from the White House. Joe Biden had classified documents in his possession. Now, here's the real thrill here. Joe Biden had classified documents in his possession since 1974. And it wasn't until he was tipped off by the Department of Justice, who were going to raid Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago. All of a sudden, remember in the news, all of a sudden, documents found at Joe Biden's Penn Biden Center. All of a sudden, Biden has documents in his garage. These are 49-year-old documents that all of a sudden, whoops, he was given a tip. He was told that, hey, we're going to raid Mar-a-Lago. You got to take care of these documents that you had in your possession, right? 49 years, Kev. He had these in his possession. Nobody asked for him back. And the best part is that only the president, not the vice president, not the secretary of state, not our health secretary, whoever that 500-pound person is, nobody can declassify documents about the president. As VP, he could not do it, and he didn't. And yet he had these documents in his home. That's what's unbelievable about this. We remember Hillary Clinton was receiving private documents on her personal phone. her private with no security on her own server.
And then when they get it, when she like broke it with a microphone with a hammer and poured bleach over
she hit it.
Yeah. She actually like busted stuff. I couldn't do it. It's like, yeah, it's anything that is we job. I mean, there is, again, if you like don't even care. This is run by one side of the political system.
And this
scare you.
This is how I was going to tie it into my original point from the Defense Act of 1911. It's like these people don't care about the evidence. They have made up their minds before the evidence was concluded, before a precedent was set. They have made up in their mind for whatever reason. Maybe some people call it staged. I don't know, but they are using everything. They want him in jail for 100 years. They are trying all of these things to make sure that he doesn't take the White House again. Now, is it all political theater? I don't know. There are people who think it is. I don't want to take a side on that. But it's very strange that they are wanting to, what I think you said earlier before we went on, 37 accounts, right? 100 years in jail. They want him thrown behind bars for stuff that Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden did, and they walk free. His trial is tomorrow, Kev, Tuesday, June 13th. So the good thing is there's a plus, I guess, if you want to look at it this way. The trial's not in D.C., so he's not getting D.C. 96% Democrat jurors. The trial's in Florida. The jurors will be Floridians. That might be a plus for him, maybe. But like you said, this is not, just roll your eyes. I do think that this is something kind of serious to keep an eye on here. I do think that there's a possibility that he is removed, which is why I think names like Mike Pence, Chris Christie, they're throwing Nikki Haley, they're putting themselves in the presidential race. They have their eyes set on Trump being removed from this because they have no chance, right? Even DeSantis, who's the best bet, trails Trump by 30 points in the polls. Right. This should be an obvious walk away for Trump. They're eyeing him being removed. I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah, and I think if it happened, what then? I have rabid Trump supporters in the U.S. and you have a lot of very reasonable Trump supporters in the U.S. Now, the reasonable supporters they won't do any kind of us, but the rabid ones, and I think many of them, they're quote unquote messiah in prison, and I think it might be part of the whole game. I don't believe that every single thing is puppets. I think these are. I think the mark. I think there are people. I do not think here them, but my opinion is not the. I think they are afraid of Trump coming in. I think that Trump does say some things that they would much lose. He did just with the jobs and tariffs and stuff. I mean, he did, and hurt China. I mean, if you want to look at anything he did, I think that's. I guess someone else could probably wrong. But that's how it is with anything or statistically, right? It's always like, but if he did this, and it's like, well, eventually. I think I'll need to slow down a little bit, take a deep breath, and look at it. And like, this really could be real, and it's probably just because you have a political party that is, actually using the justice system to attack another political party. It's crazy.
Yeah. The only thing that I kind of have thought through all these things is, you pull so hard for a candidate, right? You dedicate a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of just mental focus, right? People really get invested into some of these things, and then you win, right? Like I did in 2016. I dedicated a lot of time. I really was. I did not want to see Hillary Clinton in the White House, and I was so emotionally invested in all this. And then a few years later, someone like Joe Biden could win. So I think to myself, I'm gonna dedicate, this is me just talking out loud here, I'm gonna dedicate so much time to making sure that Trump is put back in the White House in 2024. Like, this is it. Like, let's go all in. Yeah, let's get this. And then in 4 years we'll have President Kamala Harris. I don't know. Like, I feel like I don't think our founding fathers envisioned it this way, where people have to cross their fingers and hope that the right person, wins this time. Otherwise, we're screwed. I don't think they set up the government that way, which is why they had the Constitution, which is why they had the Bill of Rights, which is why they tried to limit the federal government. But we have totally thrown that thing in the trash.
They limited the vote on this road. Should we really talk about the original voters in America? I can tell you, well, they weren't women. They weren't.
That's true.
Young, they were men.
That's true.
The democratic idea of our founding fathers is not remotely what it is now. Let's keep that in mind. Now, am I saying that women shouldn't vote?
Yeah.
Maybe, but that's a whole nother topic. I don't want to get shot on the street one of these days. But again, the point is, it's not what it was. It is not how the founders, did it should be. They also presumed
excuse me,
have a country that men with that would be the voting. And so democracy and the government was a lot smaller. You had a much smaller pool and less people. Literally, America. Just I had a better opportunity than having a bunch of morons. And now you just have you have a lower age. You have women who vote emotionally. I'm not saying women are morons, but they vote emotionally, and because of that, the democracy, it just simply doesn't. It's exactly. Donald Trump, who well, he's an 80-year-old kind of crazy, who, could really up anybody. 85-year-old man who doesn't have a brain. I mean, is that democracy? Is work? I mean, let's be real here.
Right. Well, we know the reasons why Obama won, right? And we know the reasons why certain demographics voted the way they do. Right? I mean, and this isn't new either, right? I mean, people pick their candidates because I forget, there was that famous debate, and it was like people who watched on television said one way and people who listened to the radio said another way. I think it was from the 60s, so it must have been Kennedy and whatever election that might have been. But looks matter. People we're visual persons, right? So we might not actually agree with the message, but if somebody is young, and we talked about this before, right? With the Kennedys, really, if somebody's young and they're charismatic and maybe they're attractive looking and they speak well, a lot of stuff you don't want to hear is going to go over your head because you're drawn to them, and it comes into play. People vote for all the wrong reasons. I think we really don't look at issues, and that it really stands out when they do these things where they go into the street, right, and they say, do you support, they just give opinions. They don't say who said them. And they did this in 2008. They went out into the street and they gave a whole bunch of statements, right? Who said this? Everybody was saying, that had to have been Palin. That had to have been Palin. That was Sarah Palin. That was Sarah Palin. They laughed. It was Sarah Palin. They were Obama's words. And it just goes to show you, people miss message over for looks, for aesthetics, for other factors, whatever. So I don't know. We will see. But again, tomorrow, June 13th, the feast of St. Anthony of Padua. I'm looking at my calendar. Trump goes.
I got you. Oh boy, that's gonna be interesting, man. I mean,
we'll see.
As you said, so in Florida, maybe he has a chance.
He might. So cool. Let's jump, Kev. I wanted to really touch on really quick because people were, some of our comments on past YouTube channels, and we can jump to Padre Pio and whatnot really quick. I was reading an encyclical from Pope Gregory the 16th, Morari Vos. I think it's more well known amongst some traditional Catholics and others. But this, I wanted to read it. This portion of his encyclical really talks about indifferentism is a perverse opinion, and I think that this needs to really be brought to light in today's day and age. So I just want to read this really quick, and then we could kind of jump to our next topic. But so Pope Gregory the 16th says, quote, "Now we consider another abundant source of the evils with which the church is afflicted at present day, that is indifferentism. This perverse opinion is spread on all sides. by the fraud of the wicked who claim that it is possible to obtain eternal salvation of the soul by profession of any kind of religion as long as morality is maintained. Surely, in so clear a matter, you will drive this deadly error far away from the people committed to your care. He's speaking to priests. With the admonition of the apostle that said there is one Lord, one faith, one shepherd. They should consider the testimony of Christ himself, who said that he who is not with me is against me, and they will disperse unhappily those who do not gather with him. Therefore, they will perish without a doubt unless they hold the Catholic faith whole and inviolate. Let them hear Jerome, who tells that wherever someone tried to persuade him to join the group, he always exclaimed, "He who is for the see of Peter is for me." A schismatic flatters himself falsely if he asserts that too he has been washed of the waters of regeneration. Indeed, Augustine would reply to such a man, "The branch that has the same form from when it has been cut off from the vine, but what profit would it have from the form if it does not live from the root?" I'll leave that there. There's a different section. A liberty of conscience is also an error. So people are asking, where are you getting this stuff? Morari Vos, Pope Leo the 13th. It couldn't make it any clearer, right? We have to, as Christians, we have to profess the one true faith. Otherwise, we're hurting the body as a whole. And Leo the Gregory the 16th condemns this time and time again here. The fraud of the wicked, these are strong words, drive far this deadly error from the people committed to your care, right? It's super important that we as a society all embrace this one true faith. The church has always said this. The church has condemned these liberties and whatnot throughout history. And it's something that I think people need to really consider, is that, well, as long as what I do is a good person, is something that all I need to worry about, that literally line by line here demonstrated as something to be false. It doesn't matter as long as morality is maintained. We need to profess this one true faith and live in that way, live by what that faith teaches. And that teaches obviously a whole bunch of things. Charity towards neighbor, right? It teaches it does teach, in an earthly way, looking out for one another. There are those truths of caring for one another, of working together as a group, as a society, as a culture, as a town, as a village. That is true. And I think people need to really understand that this is what the church teaches and has always taught. And I remember someone asked in the comments too, those questions from how did you go from Novus Ordo to here. I did an interview with you. People can pull that up. But one of the things that I remember thinking was, it is a dogma that for all generations, the hierarchy, the teaching church will teach the one same gospel. That's a dogma. You don't see that today coming from the hierarchy at all. We've got a dilemma here. We've got a problem. So those are my thoughts.
Do they have
Kev.
Have dogma? I think by being
yes.
Thou must
the
not be a traditionalist. Right,
yes.
Exactly.
Yes. I just posted. I posted Francis in his apostolic exhortation here. He did say, I highlighted it in yellow. Enter into communion with the forest. I don't know how to do that. And quite a contrast. I just posted this. Somebody can look at my Twitter feed. In his letter, it's a 1909. This is off the top of my head. 1909 letter from Pope Pius X to young people. He tells them to listen to the words of St. Paul in Galatians. If anyone does not preach this gospel to you that we preach, let him be anathema. He says those words. Talk about, encounter, right? What a switch. Padre Pio, Kev? What do you got?
There's a Padre as the main actor, and we talked about this a couple months ago before.
Yes.
And I highly want everyone not to go see it, because previews it had foul language. It had Padre Pio supposedly shouted at a woman in foul language. A lot of people came out and defended the movie and said, "How dare you?" Shia LaBeouf had a great interview and clearly is a Catholic. The next movie that Shia LaBeouf did, he was dressed in, I don't know what the movie was, but that is all that online that his next
Oh.
movie he is dressed in drag. So clearly a great conversion for Shia LaBeouf. And apparently in this blasphemy, so do not see this movie and make sure that no one else does. That's about all I have to say on it. And don't don't think just because it sounds nice and it sounds hey, this guy okay.
Well, maybe somebody could comment and let me know. I did hear, and I didn't see the movie, and I don't plan on looking at it. That there were some indecent scenes. Number one, but two, the question that I had, because maybe I made this up or maybe I read this somewhere and it was just a false claim, but I heard that in order to provide training for who taught Shia LaBeouf how to do this, right? I heard that the movie was really under the direction of the Institute of Christ the King. That they trained Shia LaBeouf on how to say the liturgy, what mass looks like, how to, what a priest would do, and the accuracy of the whole thing. I thought that I read or heard somebody say that the Institute of Christ the King really oversaw this to give that, traditional, make sure that we were really doing the mass of 62 accurately. Did they miss other parts? I don't know. So maybe somebody can comment if they know more than we do on this. But I don't know. I thought that was, when I heard that, I thought that was very strange that all these bad things were coming out of it, because I did think that a traditional, quote unquote, air quotes here, or Catholic organization was overseeing this film. So I would love for somebody to fill me in.
I think it could have a very evil side to it. That you made a director quote to be, what they them and teach them about all and more importantly, your and get to go see it, and then you have these blindness images and just and I think it really would be a really that the actually has this before, that he already has movies anti. This is just reporting from what I've seen on Twitter. Stay as far away from it you can, folks. Definitely something to. And what?
No, I think we did it. I think that was it. We did the punch the guy in the face. Miami. Do you think the finals are fixed, Kev? People say that sports are fixed.
The sports were my aim.
Think
that I. what I will say. We're gonna. Thanks for that, Matt. But I think
I had to.
I think are told to a point. It like a really good example was in Game 4. Numbers are up 2-1. The NBA.
Yeah.
Obviously, 7 games, a lot more money. 4 games you don't want to find. Hey, we need to make sure this gets possible. Are going to make it as tight. Too obvious. Then people would know they lose their job. The agent says, "Hey, don't forget, want 7 games in this, so a little bit of help."
Yeah,
it ended up being far and away a team anyway. But there were very, very call, and I do, but sure would have letters and Celtic. It not have Miami and Denver.
Right. That's probably true too.
But
yeah, I can see that. Like it might not be. Yeah, go ahead.
No, we're lagging a little.
No, I was just going to say they might not be pulling.
As I said, I think the internet's lagging.
German internet is just
over.
It is
screen. It's. I'll let you.
Yeah, that's all right. I was going to say. I don't think they're pulling strings either, of course, right? But I do think your point is valid that there's no money in 4 games. They could extend it each. I mean, I can't even imagine how much money they bring in each game. So they might say, to the refs, be a little lenient today, like, oh, don't call that foul, and just small things to kind of nudge a little bit. I could totally see that. I could absolutely 100% see that. So we'll know soon an NBA winner. Trump's case, like I said, is coming up on Tuesday, tomorrow. Don't see that Padre Pio movie, and continuation of the feast, the month of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Pray those litanies. We need them.
And again, as always, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Let us know what you want us to talk about. And do it, honestly, we're also, I think Matt's on Facebook. Kevin Davis on Facebook. Kevin on Twitter. That's at Evie Gillick. What's your handle on Twitter?
I hate when people ask me this because I sometimes don't even know. Matthew, MATTHEW, _ Theo, THEO. Matthew _ Theo. I did have to look that up.
Pretty much. Let us know what you want us to talk about, because we want as something that pops up and you're like, hey, that's something I'd like to hear about, then let us know. Send us a message, send us a comment on Twitter. Really good way to connect with us. Obviously, we love it when you comment videos as well.
Until next week, may God bless you, and may Mary keep you. Most Sacred Heart of Jesus, have mercy on us. Thank you for listening to Monday Mornings with Matt and Kevin here on the Catholic Family Podcast.